Good afternoon. Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Sunday with whatever you're doing, wherever you are in the world. I know for those people watching in the UK, you're probably not going to be doing a lot because we're all still on lockdown. I've got a panel with me this evening. First of all, I've got Kevin. How are you, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Just kind of knackered with the stream yesterday, 7 hours of madness, man.
Yeah,
That was pretty much cool.
It was, mate. It was proper mad. And then I've got Simpy. How are you,
Hi,
mate?
hi Daniel. Hi everyone in the chat.
Or
Yeah, I'm
as
not too
my
bad, thanks.
or as my voice dictation decides. Yeah, if anyone's heard my dog barking in the background, he's going crazy at cats. Hold on a sec. Quiet. Oi, quiet. Do you know what it is, right? He looks out the window and he just sees a cat and he just goes nuts. So yeah, every time you guys wanted my dog to make an entrance, and now he's made about an entrance in 3 different streams. Anyway, where did I get to? Where did I get to? Oh, and we got Sam as well. How are you, Sam?
Hi Sam, thanks for having me on your channel, Daniel. Pleasure to be here, and hello to everyone in the chat. Nice to see everyone there. Hope everyone's well.
Yeah, listen, we will get to some chats. Simpy, if you can keep an eye on the chats for me, that'd be brilliant.
Okay.
Just because it'll be a lot for me to do reading all the chats but yeah. So what I want to talk about first and foremost, I don't know, Kevin. This topic. I don't know whether you've heard much about it. I know. I know, Sam, you're based over there in Norway, so you might not have heard anything about it.
We'll see.
Let's see about it.
But I want to talk about the story that is dominating the UK news at the moment, and that is obviously we're all in lockdown, and I wanted to talk about this for a reason because over the last couple of months, there's been several footballers that have broke lockdown rules, and they've been sort of held to account, with various things. But obviously, it's emerged that Boris Johnson's chief advisor has broken lockdown rules by travelling 250 miles to arrange childcare for I think his child, because him and his wife both displayed symptoms of coronavirus. So I want to get Sam. I want to come to you first. I don't know whether you've heard the story or whether, obviously, you're based over there in Norway, so you're probably I don't know how abreast of UK news you are, but have you heard the story and have you read?
Yes, I have. It's actually been in the news here. It has actually been in the news here in Norway today, and yeah, I try to keep abreast of the news in the UK when I can. Not on top of it all the time, but I try to keep an eye. But yeah, it's obviously a big news issue now, isn't it? Because it's basically going in the face of everything that the government and especially him have been telling everyone else to do, right? So that's what everyone's up in arms about, isn't it? That hypocritical side of it. Yeah.
And where do you stand on it? Because there's a lot of it has ramifications for absolutely everything, not just the lockdown, but it throws everything into question in terms of, obviously, the advice has been to stay at home, and if you're displaying symptoms, don't travel. But he's obviously, set those rules, and he was a big influence in creating those rules. And it's apparently that now he's come out and he's not really he's not really come out and said anything. I know a lot of people in Parliament or the local MP level have condemned him and saying his position is untenable. But where do you stand on it, and what do you make of it all? And do you believe everything that's come out about it? Because there's been some pretty damning things that have come out.
If you want me to go first, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, well, first of all, I don't really know all the details yet. All the really, nitty gritty details yet. And I don't think everyone does really. I don't think anyone has really heard his side of this yet so far as I can tell. So far, it's just been a typical trial by media. Everyone all gets on his back straight away. Social media frenzy. He's guilty. Let's kill him. Let's lynch him straight away. Typical reaction, without really looking at the things from both sides. And of course, what's come out today now, they've all got on him. And I mean, it's understandable how people can get upset with this, because as we've said, he is the person making the guidelines and saying, we should stay at home, lockdown, etc. In the UK, that is. And he basically just flouting that and just doing the opposite and doing what he wants, what it looks like on the surface of it. So, I can understand how people react to that. But at the same time, we don't really know what his situation was. I mean, was it a very precarious situation for him, something he was very worried about, involved with his child? There's a lot here I don't think we really know yet before we can really sort of make a fair judgment. And at the same time, there's also, I just want to make one final point. There's something people don't remember as well. This is not a law. It's not a law that you're supposed to stay. It's not a police or military enforced law that you have to stay indoors. It's a guideline. So he hasn't actually broken any laws, but what he's done is been a bit of a silly person, basically.
Yeah. So just to clarify for people who don't know, and obviously this, I've been reading a lot of stuff about this, and so basically what he's apparently done is he's traveled 250 miles so that he could, because him and his wife both displayed symptoms of COVID-19, and they were worried that if they were both incapacitated, they were, they would not be able to care for their child. But the issue is that the issue being that he travelled in the peak of lockdown, when it was not so much now, but when it was the case where if anybody caught flouting the rules, they would get an instant fine and be told to go back home. Plus, the government at the time were saying anybody with symptoms of COVID-19 is not allowed to leave the house, and anybody in their family who, if you're in a family and you've got the COVID-19, that family has to isolate as well. It wasn't made clear as the details as to what happens with childcare. And the second part of this as well is that on the 12th of April, it was a doctor had recognised his number plate, and he went to visit. Subsequently, when he had recovered from COVID-19, that he had done a non-essential journey to some castle up in Durham. I can't remember the name of it, but apparently his car was spotted with the number plate, at this castle, when non-essential journeys were forbidden. So I think that's where the discrepancy comes in. Might not necessarily be the driving the 250 miles for the for the childcare. I mean, that raises questions in itself. But I think it's the second part of it which is a bit murky. Simpy, what do you make of it?
Yeah, before I jump in, just say, big up to, where do I start? Big up to Omar, Miss Melina, Grant, Joseph, Hoyer, Arsenal Vlogs, Taib, Alpha Training. I think I've said Grant McRoberts already. To be honest, I've not really paid that much attention to the news the past couple of days. I think, when I opened Twitter, I saw that we're all after that guy who, travelled all those miles for his kids. But it's just the whole, like, practice what you preach kind of thing. If they're going to, if they're speaking, like, you've got to lock down non-essential trips, pretty much everything like that, you've got to make sure, because if people see, oh, this guy's head, like, high up and he's not following the rules, why do I have to follow the rules, basically? So that's the only thing.
I think for me as well, it is a you're in a position of power. Listen, footballers, and I want to sort of bring the football element into it as well, because footballers, we've seen footballers flatten the rules and they've been hounded for it. They've been absolutely hounded for it. Chief Medical Officer of Scotland flouted the rules and she resigned over it. Mm-hmm. She resigned over it because she had done a journey and breaking lockdown rules. I think the issue is that he's not, from what it looks like to me, and made worse this evening by the Daily Briefing, is that the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, is just quite happy to cover this up because he Dominic Cummings is his right-hand man and was very instrumental in winning the election and very instrumental in the Leave the EU campaign. And I think from what it looks like, from the outside looking in, it's looking like that it is all friends together, and it does seem like one rule for them and another rule for us. Because my issue with it is, okay, so a couple of things when Boris was asked about this, the situation that had developed, and he was saying, so what one of the journalists asked him, so basically what you're saying is that because Dominic Cummings used his instincts as a parent and drove all that way to supposedly provide childcare to go to his elderly parents who are most at risk of COVID-19, when you and your wife are displaying symptoms, so that they could look after your child. So what you're saying is now that families could have done that, because there are a lot of families who are in the same sort of position as Dominic Cummings but didn't do that, what he done, because they were following the rules. And basically he come back and said, well, that's down to interpretation. Everybody interprets the rules different, basically sort of avoiding the question. So what do you guys think? Anyone can jump in here. I've
got a few points to make, but I'm thinking maybe Kevin wants to have a go.
Yeah.
Actually, Dan, I do echo what Sam was mentioning a few moments ago. Yeah, but when it comes to this type of situations, right? Because as a parent, judging by the parents, he has his own instincts, as well as his children, as well as his parents as well. So it all comes into context, and that's the important aspect of being an individual that consists that prioritizes the family as well. So as I see this situation, there's always two sides to a coin. So there's a two-way thing to a story as well, So basically, in my opinion, I think he's not above the law. he's not above the law, so he should be adhering to the law, because he is the one that set the laws for the people to follow, and if you're not going to set an example for people, for the public, many people else are going to flout the laws, because they are going to do a rough comparison, and they're going to tell, hey, some guy in a higher authority of power is just flaunting the laws, and how can we as normal people, and when we do that, we are arrested, we are getting fined and stuff like this, and that guy just walks away free. So it's every time a question like this, and the media often just exaggerates these situations, because you have seen that football players as well, whenever they do it, and they become a national issue right now. And just imagine this situation that he did. He just traveled about 200 miles away, just to go to this childcare and stuff like this. Football players over there. We had situations whereby Lacazette was doing his car polish or something like that with his valet and stuff like that. And we also had Jose Mourinho and his few other players coming in and doing a light warm-up session in a public park or something. So these type of situations, the media seems to perpetuate. They bloat this situation up, So if those players in high position as well, because let's be honest here, footballers are also known as iconic figures, for respective towns, clubs, and all this, So when they flaunt the rules, if they are getting so much stick from the public, from the media, from every single person in position of reporting a story, they are basically bombarded, with stuff like this. So it's highly unfair that when a person in power that comes up with such rules just to like walk away freely on this, and I understand he has the parents' instinct. I totally get it, because everyone does. But if you were to give just a pass for this person, in a position of power, just to go and do what a parent would do, just a parental instinct, I'm sure many people, many members of the public as well, they have concerns for their own children and parents as well. So they would want to visit as well. So this is something that Sam rephrased a few moments ago as well. So I totally agree with that. But at the same time, it's not fair for him just to walk in freely. It's not. If you want to make it like a win-win scenario, go ahead, get him fined or something, Okay, I think it's pretty much harsh to just put him behind bars, because that's like, I don't see that happening, but just go ahead with a fine, because go on, Daniel.
I don't think they want to put him behind bars, but at the very least, I think a lot of people are calling for him to resign, because when you're in a position of power and when you're sending a message to the public on behalf of Public Health England or on behalf of the government, when you're saying to people, stay at home, follow the rules, it's really imperative. It seems to me that it's only coming out now that they're saying, oh, actually, you could have gone to see your parents, if anyone in his situation could have got. Why wasn't that said at the very start when the rules were set out? Why wasn't that said? Why is it only said now? Why is it only said now? Because one of your own has been caught breaking the rules. Why wasn't that published?
It's very contradicting, is it?
Yeah. Why wasn't that published when when it first come out? Why wasn't it? In that situation, why is it only now? That's the problem I've got with it personally. And the other problem that I have with this is that it's very hard now, especially moving forward. The longer you defend him, and Boris Johnson has all but come out today and pretty much said he defends him. And there's a lot of public opinion. Even a lot of people who backed Boris Johnson. Personally, I never wanted the guy in the first place, but I come to the realization that, listen, it is what it is. But there's a lot of people who did back him, and a lot of people who are backing him now are not backing him because he's not done the right thing, and that is hold his chief advisor to account. Because let's be honest, guys, let's let's be honest. There are lots of families in the same situation who would have loved to have done what he'd done, to go and spend time with their families, following the rules. They stayed at home. They stayed at home following the rules. Yeah, you're going to get people who abuse that, and unfortunately, you're going to get that in every country. But I just think, in a position of power as a chief advisor, who would have had a hand in making these rules, and then you get caught flouting the rules, it just undermines the whole public message of stay at home, save lives. And what makes it worse for me is that these members of the public that would love to go and see that, they didn't have symptoms of COVID-19. He travelled knowing that him and his wife had symptoms of COVID-19. Say that he broke down and he had to call out the RAC, that would then be infecting them with COVID-19, because they would have to come out and tend to his car and possibly and say that he stopped at a service station. He would have had to think how many people he would have come into contact with on that journey, and how many people he could have possibly infected. And that to me is, a big issue that you have to take into account.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few points I want to make here, and first of all, I think it shows, going over things now, what a complete mess the whole situation is in terms of how unclear so many of the rules and regulations are. It's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Can you do this? Can you do that? Is that okay? Is that not okay? There's just so much lack of clarity there, and also there's this essential versus non-essential issue, because I think in his eyes what he was doing was essential. He felt it was essential what he needed to do. It wasn't a non-essential act or a non-essential task. So, and I think it's, and I just want to, I'm not trying to defend Cummings in any way, but I think it's unfair to compare what he did to like what football players have been doing, because there's a big difference between worrying about your child, what happens to your child if you pass away, and the child is, what kind of care is the child going to get when you pass away, and how that's going to be sorted out. There's a big difference between that and just going and partying with prostitutes and basically doing what you want with the football players who are doing, partying and doing all other things that are absolutely 100% non-essential. Just basically doing what you feel like because you've got loads of money and you're a big I am. I think Cummings was thinking. I think he was doing something he felt was essential that he needed to do. But what I find is the damning thing for him that I think really sort of puts the nail in his coffin, so to speak, that he should probably resign and maybe even get a fine, is because what he did it while he was showing symptoms of COVID-19. Now, if you think you've got COVID-19, you're showing symptoms, you shouldn't be going out no matter what. No matter what, you shouldn't be going out. For me, that is the damning thing for him, going out while showing symptoms. If you hadn't been showing symptoms, okay, you could halfway maybe sort of understand everything, but doing it while showing symptoms is just completely ludicrous to me. And if I was him, I would be thinking, well, I'm someone working high up in the government. I must have aides, people around me to help, staff, etc. Just a phone call away. Why can't I get some of them to help me do this for me? Why do I need to take this 250-mile drive by myself when I'm showing symptoms of COVID-19? That to me is the major damning issue for me.
Wasn't there something, I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw it around Twitter. Wasn't there something like his sister lives like a few streets down?
2 streets away from him. Yeah, his sister lives a few streets away from him.
This could have all been coordinated differently, surely. I'm sure it could have been done differently.
And the thing is, as well, is going to his mother, who is supposedly who is an elderly lady, when yourself, because it's been on public news and you would have had a hand in it, that the elderly are more at risk. The elderly are
Vulnerable,
more
yeah.
at risk
Yeah, that's what doesn't make sense. That's what doesn't make
of
sense how we can do that.
COVID-19.
Yeah.
And also the supposed, listen, I don't want to dwell too much on the supposed trip to the castle because, listen, there's no images of that. Not that I believe at the moment. There's no. You've only got this doctor's word. But when you've got people like there's parents who are not able to bury their children because the children have died of COVID-19 and because the rules are in place, and then you've got him flouting the rules. And I think the worst thing for me in all of this is that the government seems to be covering it up and drastically changing the rules like now, like in terms of coming out and saying, oh, but anybody could have done this and it's all like, well, why wasn't that made clear at the time? Why are you only saying this now that one of your people is being caught with egg on their face, so to speak? You know what? Why didn't you say this when at the time? And there's a lot of because it's going to be hard now for them to keep coming out on these daily briefings as they do, and from here on in until he resigns, or he's sacked, it's going to be hard for them to come out and go, keep following the advice, keep staying at home, keep blah 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 and all this, because what most of the public are going to turn around and go, well, why your chief advisor didn't stay at home when we were at the peak of this virus, and so why should we follow it? Why are we being told a different set of rules when your chief advisor is doing something completely different?
I agree, Daniel. What doing that, doubling down on it, and Boris Johnson coming out in defence of him, I agree, is a terrible choice to make. It's terrible from a political standpoint. It's terrible from any standpoint, really. You're supposed to be leading the nation, showing the way, and then you basically say what he's done is okay. It's very hypocritical. It's not good, and he should really be. He should be, made an example of. They should say this is, this we don't condone someone within the government or high up who's supposed to be enforcing these rules to break them themselves. So he should resign or be asked to resign, and he should also have a fine. He should pay a fine for that, and that would be the right way of doing it. And I think people would accept that and then move on and say, okay, fair enough, he's going to be punished, he's going to lose his job, that's it, okay, something's been done about it. But just pretending like everything's okay and doubling down on it, it's just ludicrous, and it's just going to create more dissent. It's going to create more,
it's going to create public unrest.
Yeah, it's going to create more dissent and unrest, definitely. Yeah. People are going to come out and say this, why should we follow rules when you guys can't be bothered,
And, from a political point of view, that Boris Johnson, he's going to lose a lot of backing, and listen, people were already not backing him because of stuff, of obviously his reactions to the virus. Maybe not so much as this story, because listen, everybody's in a different situation, this is a new virus and nobody really knows about it. But there were calls for him, why didn't he act sooner on certain things? And the longer this goes on with this story, the longer it goes on, the less people are going to back him, the more public unrest is going to happen. And what's happened is, as well, in not acting and not making an example of him, he's made the police's job 10 times harder, because the police were already finding it hard sending people home, because listen, it's an unusual thing. Imagine you're a police officer and you've got to go to someone who's on the beat, say, sorry, you've got to go home. That's never ever happened. Do you know what I mean? That's as much as it's the rules. I would hate, as a police officer, I would hate that. Because telling somebody to go home from the beach is not actually a crime. When you look on the face of it, okay, at the moment we're in a situation that we're all protecting, we're trying to stay safe from the virus. But on the face of it, there's murderers, robbers out there, and you've got to tell someone they've got to go home from the beach. It's so their jobs were hard enough as it is. Now it's even harder because when you try and tell somebody, sorry, sir, could you please move on? Remember, you got to follow the rules and stay home. They're going to get backlash after backlash of, well, the chief advisor's not staying at home, so what? And
it's going to make their job so hard, isn't it? You're dead right, Daniel.
Make their job so hard, and I think that the longer it drags on, the longer it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse because, I mean, I saw as well in the press conference that Boris Johnson was trying to, he literally I knew that everything was going to be about this story, and then he tried to ease the public by going, oh yeah, don't worry, we're going to lift some social distancing measures this week, which was sort of, I took that to mean you're trying to throw the public a bone just to keep them on side,
just dodging the bullet.
Yeah, dodging the bullet, and not really. When he was asked about the Castle thing as well, he just skirted around the question and go. His words were, when the journalist said, "So what do you mean? Could you respond to the question of him going to this castle? I can't remember. Is it Boardmore Castle or something in Durham or something that he went to?" And he just basically said, "Oh, well, I've had a chat with Dominic Cummings, but everything he done, he done with social distancing measures in place," which kind of says that if he did go to the castle, he was doing his social distancing measures, which begs the question of why is he allowed to do that and not members of the public, which basically is making another rod for his own back.
Why a castle? That's weird.
What was he doing there?
Yeah, I haven't a clue. I have not a clue. Not a clue. What are people saying in the chat?
Right, in the chat, let me scroll up a bit. Where was I? Yeah, so we got Liam Damon saying, evening everyone.
Liam.
Melina was mentioning, like quite a lot of you guys were saying about the higher ups never accountable for breaking the rules, but not as severe as the citizens are, as they think they're above the law pretty much.
Yeah.
Then we've got Justice in the chat saying, big up Daniel. I've not seen Justice for a while.
Big up Justice.
I've not seen him since he said Arteta was
bigger than Simeone.
Was better than Simeone. Yeah, I think.
Then we got Football with Brownie saying hi everyone, and he had a big night last night, so that's why he's.
Hi Adam. Hope you're good, mate.
Hi Adam. Hope you're okay, mate.
Yeah, and then
say what he wrote. He wrote something interesting, didn't he?
Yeah, he said, where is it? Yeah, he said if he got caught breaking the shutdown, if he got caught breaking the shutdown rules while having COVID-19 symptoms over here, then he would be imprisoned because they treat it as attempted murder. So he's living in Spain.
Yeah, I agree.
So in Spain, they treat it as attempted murder, which is kind of true.
Yeah,
because you're putting other people's life at jeopardy here, because by the way you're moving in, you're like a walking time bomb virtually. If you're showing symptoms, you're like a walking time bomb. Imagine those people, like let's say you just stop somewhere to just pour gas or someone. Imagine those people that they have like some sort of medical conditions, or they are pretty much aging or something. These people don't stand a chance. Although you might be showing asymptomatic symptoms, you don't show the obvious symptoms. You don't have a fever, you don't have a running nose, you don't have nothing, but you are already maybe positive or something like that. And when you go and have like an exposure with these type of people that they are not so much very strong and capable of handling this type of viruses, they probably, their body would be just like getting weaker, and they are the ones that's going to be like losing their lives. So that's the way that's the way people have to like attend this seriousness of these issues. And yeah, I agree with Brownie, because it has to be said that if you're walking with the disease, and you are giving a jeopardy and you're giving a risk for other people to get infected as well, that's attempted to murder, because you're a walking time bomb.
There's one bit that's quite scary. Is obviously you all saw Mariappa, the Watford player he'd got the virus.
Yeah.
And obviously he said he didn't know anything about it and he felt fully normal. It's people like that. Like he could have gone to Tesco wearing a mask and gloves or whatever, and he could have picked up some stuff thinking he's all fine, but actually he had the virus.
Yeah.
Then we've got 101 on Arsenal. So Apollo.
Hi Apollo. Be well, mate.
Great
Apollo.
show. He said support everyone's channels because they're the meat and bones for support base worldwide. Then Justice was saying that he thinks it's gonna be about 5 years until things are truly back to normal, because the virus is always going to be in the back of people's minds.
Yeah.
Then, Liam is asking how Kevin is.
Yeah, I'm good, buddy. I'm good, Liam. Hope you're well, mate.
Yeah, I'm also just browsing through the chats as well.
Okay.
But what? Listen, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I guess for me as well, the longer this develops without a resolution, the harder it's going to get. And any public message now is just going to fall on deaf ears. And I've said, when this story broke today, like when it was gaining traction, I said, listen, watch everything implode now. Everything's just going to absolutely implode. And any public message they give now is just going to be met with, well, why? Why should we?
Yeah, just
that's going to fall into deaf ears.
It's not just it's not just public though. If like I've seen a load of celebrities coming out and condemning it and going, this is wrong.
Yeah.
And obviously we know that celebrities have a lot of traction. A lot of following on social media.
Well, I think what's going to happen is there's going to be so much public uproar and dissent about this that he's going to have to resign. He's going to find his position untenable. This is Cummings. He's going to find his position untenable. They're going to have to make him, make an example of him. They're going to have to. Eventually, they're going to realise that's the only way they're going to be able to save any face to move forward. It's so typical for politicians that they live in this bubble where they don't really understand what's going on in the world around them. And this is so typical of them to react. They protect each other, they're friends, they protect each other. So this is a typical reaction from Boris to do this. You're saying, oh, it's no big deal, blah, blah, could have done this, you could have done this, blah, blah, blah. Well, he doesn't realise, like what we're talking about, all the signal effects and the knock-on effects all this has, how difficult it makes it to actually enforce these rules for everyone else. So
there's a domino effect on that.
Yeah, it's domino effect, and then these guys don't realise that they can't actually think that far ahead at that moment, and then they protect each other, and then all of a sudden days go past or weeks go past, and everything just builds up more and more, and they realise, wow, okay, we've actually got very little support here now, so we better do something, and then they'll do something. Then he'll probably have to you wait within a week or 2 weeks, he probably has to resign. That's what's going to happen. And that's showing the kind of leadership Boris. I know it's turning into like a political debate here now, but it's showing the kind of leadership that Boris is known for, doesn't it? It's like he's always doing what's not the right thing until he realizes, oh, I've done the wrong thing. I have to change this around, and it's always too late, isn't it? That's a typical way of Boris to do things. He just doesn't do the right thing. He does what he thinks is best, and then realizes it's wrong.
Just crack under pressure.
Because I always think as well, there's going to come a point, if there's too much public are not going to, if public turn on him too much, especially like Boris Johnson, he's going to be thinking of his career rather than his mate.
Exactly. He's going to sacrifice his friend to save face and get some more support again. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah. So, let's move on to something more interesting. I wanted to cover that topic. Because obviously it's a like I say, it's a debate show, and I thought that'd be a good topic to debate on
Yeah,
because
it's interesting.
it's interesting. But let's move on to football, and obviously it's been confirmed on Friday that it was either Friday or yesterday. It was confirmed that La Liga is back on the 8th of June. So what do you guys think about that? Will you guys be watching the La Liga? Obviously, we don't know when the Premier League's coming back yet, but
Well, according to Ceballos, the inside information they've got is it's starting on the 20th. Is what the information the players have is the Premier League's going to start on the 20th.
I did see that report as well on it.
But we don't know if that's confirmed yet or not, of course. But no, for the La Liga, I think it makes sense because apparently their numbers have been very good there lately. I mean, their progress there with the virus has been very good. They've contained it very well the last few weeks, and they've got their plans in place for controlling this and keeping it safe as possible. Decided to go ahead with that, and also I've seen that Spain are going to be opening for tourism now at the end of June. They're going to be opening their borders for immigration for tourists again, so people can come into the country and go on holiday again. So when you look at those things together, it makes sense really for the La Liga to start.
Yeah. And Kevin, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same here. But the thing is here, when I started to notice about when the La Liga is planning to resume and when the German Bundesliga is also is currently ongoing as well, we have seen the stringent measures in these countries. They are pretty much very, very strict, and that's the reason why footballs are resuming pretty much faster in these countries. Let's be honest here, Germany and Italy and France, these and Spain as well. These countries were one of the worst hits before UK got the spike on. So Spain and Italy was one of the main ones which hit up to about 200,000 in like pretty much very fast, and UK was just not far behind. And when they came in, but the stringent measures in place, that's what made them like. Pretty much they were able to open up the business, and I believe what the UK is doing right now as well, they are started to be like looking at the situation, and they say like these countries are starting to opening up their borders, these countries are starting to opening up their economic activities, shops and stuff like this, sports are coming back and everything. But you must just take into perspective that these countries, their lockdown measures were pretty much very strict, and their lockdown was a proper lockdown. And Brownie just brought up an issue here that if anyone with any symptoms were walking down the streets, that's called an attempted murder. But back here in the UK, like Daniel just pointed out a few moments ago, like they just give them a pass. They hardly had to go any jail time. They hardly to get any fines or anything. Nothing. They're just being told off. And how do you see that people just listen to such situations, because people are just going to, if I'm not going to be taking any actions, authority is not going to take any action towards me, I might as well just be flouting the rules every single day, because I'm just only going to be told off. It's more or less like I do some naughty things at home and my parents just tell me off, hey, just go back to your room, do countdown until 10. That's how I feel like.
Yeah, no consequence. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing here. That's I think the UK is like they're looking at the positive things. Let's be honest, they're really getting the things right. But the thing here is, are people listening to that rules? Are people really adhering to the rules? That's the biggest priority here right now. And the football resumption in Spain, I believe it's going to go through. They're going to have a few bumps on the road as well, because you started to notice the German Bundesliga in the very first week. They were pretty much like having like a training, like a preseason stuff. Players were not pretty much getting used to it, empty stadiums, no fans, and they were pretty much hesitant. And I presume it's going to be the same effect that you're going to have in the Spanish La Liga, especially in massive teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona, because these stadiums, their fans are virtually the 12th man. And so it's going to be a very interesting situation where we'll encounter with Spanish La Liga as well. So this is the way I see it, but it's going to be all good. You're going to have like a one-off, like 1 or 2 cases in between when they're going to do the testing among the players. So that's the way I see it. And
yeah. And what about you, Simpy? How do you see it?
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much similar points to Sam and Kevin. If you look, I'm looking at the figures now, just for yesterday, looking at infections. So, yeah, there's 482 infections in Spain, 181 infections in Germany. And then compared to UK, we've had 2,405 infections. So obviously we're still a fair bit behind, and we're looking towards the end of June, which no one knows what it's going to be like at the end of June. But at the rate it's going down, we should be all fine and dandy to play by then after some more tests run. But yeah, I'm looking forward to La Liga. Similar to what Kevin said, like once the tests have gone out, there's probably going to be the odd player or the odd coach or staff member that's going to have got the virus, and then we just move on, copy the Bundesliga format, how they've done it, putting players and teams in isolation, and just getting on with the games really. Because the longer you dilly and dally, you're just going to be going, oh, we can't do this because team A does this, and we can't do this because team B's got this. We just got to play the games really, and
get on with it.
Just get on with it. Yeah, the longer we, as long as it's safe and all the precautions are taken, then yeah, we just get on with the games really. There's no reason to keep dilly-dallying.
Yeah, and that's it. We have just got to, get on with it. I mean, the only thing I will say about this is obviously the La Liga is going to be a bit more prepared. They're returning on the 8th of June. You think the Bundesliga, they didn't really have many time. I think they had about a week's training before they hit into games, which I think is why we were seeing a lot of dead games last week. Whereas the Premier League, you think they've started training now. You think they're not going to be going back properly until the 20th of June when they're going to be playing a competitive match. That's 4 weeks of training. So that's
Yes.
like a pre-season, isn't it?
It's a
like
pre-season. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when they come back, they're going to be in a bit more better shape. And listen, there's always going to be, they're going to, with these tests, that obviously the Premier League have done tests, and I think like they've had 8 confirmed positive cases of corona, because another 2 got tested yesterday and they come out. But listen, there's always going to, the Bundesliga come out and had 10, didn't they, before they started? So the fact that we're not starting until the 20th of June probably sort of is a good thing, because those people who have tested positive will go and isolate for 14 days, and then they'll probably get back. But yeah, I think La Liga, I think it will be a good thing. Grant, I'm not entirely sure about you saying about, I think it's that ITV have lost the rights to La Liga to Premier Sports. I know Premier Sports have taken over a lot of coverage of games, but I was under the impression that La Liga was on Sky.
Yeah, it's sometimes, I think it was earlier on in the season, yeah, I watched quite a few. They had it on ITV4, like the odd game, like 1 week, I think like one game was shown on ITV4 for La Liga, which was quite good. But yeah, I don't know as well, Grant. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, everyone fire those likes up.
Hit the likes.
Everyone hit the likes and share the channel and share the content. Omar says the season will only restart when it's safe to do so. See, the thing is, Omar, I agree with you, but there's never going to be a 0% risk-free situation.
Exactly.
So, there's always going to be some element of risk. And what do you define as safe? Because, that a lot of people saying that when the deaths drop, to about 200-300 is safe. Because, at the moment, in the UK, the death toll is dropping. Yeah, we've got 37,000 deaths, but
Yeah.
they are that's the total for this whole pandemic, not and that doesn't make for great reading. But when you look at on a daily basis, they are essentially dropping. We're
Yes.
getting some really low figures, and we've just gone under 9,000 people in hospital. So that's down 10% from the previous week. So when you look at that, in my opinion, there's never going to be the right time. That like what I'm saying to you is, you could delay bringing football back for 6 to 8 months, and people would still say, "Oh, it's not quite the right time yet." There's still people dying. There's
Yeah.
still people, and here's the other thing as well, guys. That everybody's obviously reporting this coronavirus because, obviously it's a new virus. There's no vaccine. There's no drug, but and there's a lot of deaths. But in the winter, there's probably twice as many number of deaths from influenza,
Yeah.
and
I was just about to come there.
and there's probably, there's a vaccination, but not everybody has the vaccination. Some people don't choose to have the flu vaccination, but that doesn't get reported on. But yet this virus, for some reason, people have gone absolutely batshit crazy because it's a new virus.
It sells. The fear, and the fear factor. It sells papers. It sells. It clicks. Online. All the articles they create online. With all the fear mongering articles, people click on them, and that creates advertising revenue, and that's what they thrive on.
Media perpetuates the situation. Yeah.
And I just think everyone needs to chill out a little bit. Listen, I know it's serious because the country wouldn't be in lockdown, but this virus, as quickly as it's hitting people, and yes, there are people who are dying. Of course there are. There's going to be in every. You're not going to prevent any. If you went into this pandemic hoping to save everybody, then you're not going to. Unfortunately, there are going to be people that die, and listen, that is proper sad, and my heart goes out to every family who has lost a loved one in this virus and lost a family member. But the facts and reality are that you're not going to prevent every death. It's like with there's people going to die through terrorism and stuff. You're not going to prevent it, unfortunately. As much as you can try, and as much as there's still going to be people out there that die, and that's just a sad fact of life, that people do die from viruses and die from other things. But you've got to get to a point where you could go, okay, we either learn to live with this virus, or we just ground everything until there's a vaccine. And there's never going to be a vaccine. Let's be brutally honest, right? In my opinion, I don't think there will be a vaccine. Not for another maybe 18
2 or
months,
3
2 years. And I've seen a lot of people say that they're not going to get the vaccine. And then what's the point? What's the absolute point in doing all this if then you're going to turn and say you're not going to have the vaccine, you get COVID-19, you're going to be the first to complain at the government that they didn't do enough. And it's sort of listen, I know that the government have massively fucked up on a lot of this stuff, but you've got to put things into perspective, and you can't halt everything forever.
Yeah, I agree, Daniel. What's important in this aspect, I would say, is to break down the chain of infection. That's the whole idea of this lockdown. That's the whole idea. It's not something like we are going to bring it down to 0 cases. That's not the idea of the lockdown. The idea of the lockdown is not virtually to bring it down to 0 cases, because everybody, virtually everyone in this planet knows that it's impossible to get it in 0 cases, we are going to have this one-off, this two-off, or three, whatever cases, number of cases. The idea of this lockdown is to just break down the chain of infection so that people just don't go around just spreading this virus, because it's been reported in the news as well, this virus is highly contagious as well. So if it's very highly contagious, so what better way is to put it under lockdown and people just don't go around. So if they, like, I understand a vaccine and cure for all this is going to take roughly about 2 years, right? It's going to take an 18 to 24 month period, let's be honest here. So it's unrealistic, I would say, that you want to put a person like, you're going to, guys, going to be in your house, prison yourself in the house for the next 2 years. No, because you need your economy running. You need business has been running as usual. People's livelihood, everything depends on this, And if you are going to stop and pause everything, it sounds crazy. We just have to get through with this new norm, because how hard can it be? How hard? Because I agree, many people would say it's hard to speak sense in certain people, because you can see right now, right, the government is implying with the lockdown, but not many people listen to that. And yes, if a new norm comes in, there's so many ways to improve the situation. Like, let's say in the UK, you have a tube, right? So if, let's say, a tube's capacity is about 300 passengers at a time, so might as well you just cut that down to a fraction of it, 150. So that enables that there will be like a social distancing measure in the train. It's like what we are doing in our country right now, because we have to go through this new norm at least for the next 1 to 2 years, because this new norm is not going to be something that's going to be lasting for until I'm dead or something. No, it's going to be there for the next 1 or 2 years. So that's the only time frame we are asking. Which one is worse? You want to get prisoned in your house for the next 2 years, or you want to adhere to the government rules and social distance in the next 1 or 2 years? So I think many people would opt to have the option of just social distancing and doing the proper measures, proper guidelines in the next 1 or 2 years until the government finds a vaccine. So what do you guys think about it?
I as contagious as this virus is as well, it seems to be passing through the community quite fast. Like, in terms of, you think the UK peaked over a month ago and we're already on a steady decline. Okay, yes, we've been obviously social distancing and all that jazz, but it seems to be passing through quickly. I mean, I seen a report the other day that they're saying that if an infection comes, they're not going to be able to see whether it's effective or not, because the virus is shrinking so much in the community. The rate of infection shrinking so much that by the time a vaccine is found, it could have petered out.
Well, there's lots of reports coming out from Italy, from the medical association there, that because they do a lot of testing on the virus now. Well, they have been all the time, and they found that the latest, it mutates. This virus mutates all the time, so it's the virus that's in Italy right now is a different one than it was a couple of months ago. And even though it still comes under COVID-19, it's a slightly different strain. It's a slightly different mutation, and the mutation that's going around now in Italy is much less dangerous. It doesn't affect the body and the lungs as much as the previous version, and people are surviving it a lot better. They're showing less serious symptoms, and they're surviving it a lot quicker. I mean, they're recovering a lot quicker. So
yeah,
I think the virus is mutating. It's becoming less dangerous, because that's what happens with viruses. That is the life cycle of a virus. It will mutate and mutate and mutate, and as it keeps being broken down by an immune system or what have you, it will become less and less dangerous. That is the life cycle of a virus. But there will always be some remnant of the virus left, and that will last forever. Like, we still have tuberculosis, we still have smallpox, we still have The most dangerous
Ebola and stuff like that.
Believe it or not, the most dangerous virus in the world today is the influenza virus, because there's no cure. We have no cure. We have no cure for the influenza virus, and it kills millions of people all over the world every year because it mutates so quickly. The influenza strain. It mutates all the time and mutates so quickly. So every time we get a new vaccine, every year we have a vaccine for the elderly, right? Which basically boosts their immune system and gives them the antibodies of the latest strains that they're able to put in the vaccine. So yes, it boosts their immune system greatly and gives them a very good chance of battling a serious influenza, or flu as you call it, but. There's still no cure for it. There's still a new strain all the time, and it just evolves, and it kills people all over the planet. And that is that is the most dangerous disease or virus we have on the planet right now. And so, when it comes to a vaccine, Norway, where I am now, we've got one of the world's foremost research laboratories on it at the moment. That we've got a huge grant from the World Health Organization to work on it. We're working together with America. And the UK and a few other countries on this. We're working on the same project to get a vaccine to this, and they think that the experts who are working on this reckon we can have a vaccine that is effective by November, but that has to then be trialed for a while, and then it has to be distributed and mass produced. Yeah. So they're saying the absolute earliest they think we would have a working vaccine given to the masses or distributed to the masses would be by the end of next year. That's what they think at the earliest, at the end of 2021. At the earliest, yeah.
And are you guys in Norway? Have you guys in lockdown, or have you?
No, not now. No, we 3 weeks ago we started to ease ourselves out of lockdown. We opened cafes and restaurants, but with social distancing. So basically everything has to be with a certain distance between each other and a set amount of chairs, so there's about half capacity in all the restaurants and cafes. You can't sit at a table. You can't be more than 5 people at a table. And then when it comes to open air gatherings, we can't be more than 200 people in the same gathering. And we should ideally be at least 6 feet between each other and all that. So, but it's been working very well over here in Norway. The numbers have gone down drastically. We're at very low numbers, very few people in hospital, so it's been working well. But Norway's a bit different to many countries. We've got a very sparse population. We've got there's a lot of area in Norway that's mountainous and not inhabited, so it's easier. There are parts of Norway that haven't even got the virus. That they're quite isolated areas that don't even have the virus, so it's easier for us than for many other nations. So let's put it that way. But yeah, we've done quite well. But we're very good at the research because we've got so much money. We've got very good research laboratories on these things, and Norway is amongst the nations heading research on vaccines in the world at the moment. So yeah, we're doing a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah, just looking at.
I've got a question here from Lacopa. He's saying, do you think next season will be postponed due, obviously, with the late start to this restart to this season? And that we still have like 92 games to complete.
I think it's just going to be pushed back maybe a month or two to what it should have been originally.
I think since they're only going to be playing 8 or 9 games, then I think what they'll do is they'll just give it a couple of weeks and say, okay, a couple of weeks break and then we'll start. I think that's probably what they'll do. Maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah,
maybe 1 or 2 weeks. That's about it.
They're only playing 8 or 9 games, aren't they? They're not playing another 30 games, so they don't need a huge rest period. They've had a rest period now, haven't they?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Because the thing is as well, though, the longer they push it back, the further they push it back, it's going to be harder because they've already rescheduled the Euros next year.
Yeah, it's going to be pushing into the Euros, isn't it? The Euros.
So they can only push it so far. I think what will happen is they'll probably complete the season quite fast. Because obviously we don't have a confirmed date for the season. They could start on the 12th of June. I know Danny Tobias has come out and sort of basically said the 20th, but that's not a confirmed thing. So I'm not going to take that as anything until it's confirmed. But the likelihood is as well in the Premier League, there's going to be games every day. It's going to
Yeah.
be like it's probably going to be like, you know, when we watch a like a Europe a World Cup or European, it's going to be probably in that sort of format. You know, like where there's going to be games. There's probably going to be about 2 or 3 games every day just to get the
Yeah.
season wrapped up. They'll probably have like a 4-week break, maybe mid-July, and then they'll probably go back maybe end of August, beginning of September. Probably look to start. I think that's probably what will happen, unless you know they just, because listen, no one's going to be able to travel. There's going to be no holidays or anything, so they could also as well just play it right through, like so finish this season, then completely start the next season, and then have a break maybe in mid-December or January, like a couple of weeks break, and then play all right through until obviously the Euros. Because obviously we don't know with next season. Obviously, there's going to be at least half of next season played without fans, so they're probably going to have to work out the logistics of, you know, because they're looking at maybe next January or February where people get back into stadiums, and obviously if that's mid-season, that's going to make it damn hard for them to work out season ticket prices and
and also the plan is that they're only going to bring back half, aren't they? They're going to bring back half the season ticket holders and just have the stadium at half capacity.
Yeah,
it's gonna be hard.
I don't see. The thing is, for me as well, I wonder how they'll do that, because how do you tell a season ticket holder? Sorry, you're not on the list of.
Select.
It's got to be a random draw, to be fair, hasn't it? I suppose, you know, there's some.
Unless, because so there's 60,000.
40,000 tickets, season tickets, aren't there? Arsenal 40,000.
So that's 20,000 empty seats. So I suppose what they could do is, if they said like all season ticket holders could go in, you probably could spread them all out over the extra 20,000 seats.
We got away fans as well, don't you?
You could probably do that, possibly.
I was reading that they're thinking of Emirates. You got 60,000 capacity, but out of those is roughly 40,000 season ticket holders. But they were saying that they would only probably bring back about half, just under half of the season ticket holders. Then you're going to have some of the away support as well.
They have to do it sparingly,
and then you have some of the away support coming as well. And roughly, you're going to end up with about 25,000, something like that, people at the ground to start off with, and have space between them and all that. Well, the space you can.
Yeah, I know. Like for disabled fans, I know like where I sit, there's, you know, everyone's at 2 meters because I'm on the blooming wheelchair platform. My seat's on like the platform, so like there is like literally.
You get a good view, don't you? Do you get to sit right down by the pitch? Is that where you get to sit?
No. Well, you can do, but where I sit is on the platform. So I'm in the North Bank, and my season ticket's in the lower tier.
Right.
But where I sit, you say you've got 2 seats, which, you know, obviously all the seats fold up because obviously wheelchairs can go. But you've got 2 seats, then you've got like a big wall, like so you're not next to, like you're next to your like say your companion, because obviously disabled members get two tickets. So I could take a friend with me if I wanted to. But there's like a gap in between that, and then you've got 2 seats with a gap in the middle, and then you've got this long, great big wall with another 2 seats with another gap in the middle. So they're quite spaced out. Like there's probably more. There's probably about 2.5 meters between each pairing of seats. Obviously, it's harder to do with the when you go forward. All the seats are crammed together because they try and fill up the rows. But yeah, that they do that. The platform so that obviously myself, I travel with a guide dog, so they make it so there's room for the dog to lie down, and and there's quite a lot. I think there's about there's at least 1,000 disabled season ticket holders
Right. Yeah.
at Arsenal, and I think at least 700 of them have got guide dogs, and they're dotted around the different parts of the stadium.
Right.
So there's quite a lot, because Arsenal is the only club to have facilities for a guide dog. So on the side of the stadium, there's a toilet area for the dog, and
Oh, that's great. That's really
yeah,
good.
yeah. A lot of people don't realize. A lot of people don't know that. Like when I'm taking the dog to football, they're like, "Oh, how can you bring a dog to a football match? Where's it go toilet?" And they've got a gate. They've got like a little closed off thing. I mean, they had to keep it locked. You have to get a key because what they were finding is people kept storing their bikes in there, and it was,
There's always someone, isn't there?
yeah,
Always
because,
some idiot.
you know what it is, right? And I tell you this, right? And I went to the Fulham game last season under Emery. You know where we won 5-2, I think it was, or 4.
5-1.
5-1. And
Yeah.
going into Craven Cottage now, if you've ever, any of you have ever been to Craven Cottage,
No,
it's this little tiny stadium. So you imagine like a League Two club stadium. It's probably about the same size, right? And going in is a complete nightmare. You've got a clusterfuck of about these load of fans, right? And some idiot decides to bring his bike, like, and I remember we were in the queue to go in, and this guy had his bike right in front, and he said to the steward, he's like, "Where can I store my bike?" And they were like, "You brought a bike to a football match. Why are you doing that?" And they were like, "Yeah, where can I store my bike?" And the stewards was just like, they were basically, you know, you could tell in their voice they just wanted to say, "You fucking idiot." You know, you
There's always one in there. There's always one. Always a moron in there.
Gotta be a Balotelli in disguise.
I'm not gonna listen. I've not been to the Tottenham's new stadium yet, but so far in all the stadiums in London that I've been to, Arsenal, we've got the nicest stadium. I'd say we've got the nicest stadium.
Got the best facilities for disabled. And that is, it's definitely probably, yeah.
But not even only that though. I just think we've got the nicest stadium. Like, you go to Stamford Bridge, it's fucking horrible there. It is fucking awful. Like, you got when I went to Stamford Bridge, right, and it was summer. I was sat down where they put the away fans, and I was pretty much right at the front. It was like 2 or 3 rows back from the front, and you've got they've got some kind of sewage going alongside the blooming stadium, and you can smell that. Yeah, it's proper grim. It's proper grim. No, it is, and I can understand, and you can see houses. Do you know what I mean? You can see houses in the distance, like, because I had someone describe it to me, and I completely get remember when Courtois left Chelsea for Madrid, and he was like, "Oh, Madrid is such a nicer stadium than Stamford Bridge," and it is. Stamford Bridge is a fucking shithole of a stadium.
It's old. Stamford Bridge is old, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Do you know? Because they can't build on it, Stamford Bridge. They can't build it. Like they can, but they can't. They can't move it. They can't build a new stadium because I read somewhere that if they was to build a new stadium under some local law or something, I did read that they would have to change the name of the football club if they moved
Right.
Moved
Abramovich FC.
Stadium. So I can't remember. It was somewhere. I can't remember the full ins and outs of it, but I know it was the
Sewage FC.
Sewage FC,
yeah. They were proper shit though. Actually, the worst ground the worst ground to go to is the Bet365 Stadium, Stokes ground.
Stoke City.
Oh my god, That is a fucking awful ground. A proper awful ground. It's
That Tony
proper-
Pulis bastard. Yeah.
Yeah, I went there,
Awful
right?
ground, awful ground,
You know
awful
what-
football.
Do you know what it
Awful
is? though,
manager.
as well? Awful, everything from awful. So, like, I'll tell you guys about my first. This is when I first started going to like away games because I haven't been going to away games. Like, I started, obviously going to all the home games, and then I was like, I really want to go to away games because everyone was saying to me, I should go away, go to an away game. The atmosphere is so much better because you're getting all the die-hard fans.
Yeah.
So I started, and the first time I ever went to Stoke, right, it was fucking awful. Arrived in Stoke, I had 3 taxis refused to take me because of my guide dog.
Oh.
I was like, shit, this ain't boding well. I phoned up a taxi firm to go from the station. No, to go from the hotel because I stayed overnight. Me and my wife stayed overnight, and I said, "Oh, any chance you could drop us close to the stadium because we're both registered blind." And they're like, "Oh, we're not sure because Arsenal's playing. It's a big game." I was like, "Yeah, I know. I'm an Arsenal fan." And they were like, "Oh, we can drop you down the road, and you have to find your own way." So like, they dropped us down the road. Literally had to follow the crowd, literally, and then we got into the ground, and it was just a shit ground. It was just like it was proper horrible. And then coming out, I remember later that evening, I just said to my wife, I said, everyone's fucking miserable in Stoke, aren't they? Jesus Christ, they are so miserable. I remember ordering a takeaway. I was like, yeah, so I'm in the travel lodge. I gave the address. They're like, can you deliver? And they're like, yeah. And I said, oh, is there any chance you could give me a bell? And they were like, oh, you need to come down. And I was like, yeah, but how am I going to know that you're there without you letting me know? And they were like, oh, we don't normally deliver to hotels. And I was like, but you've just said you can deliver. And he was like, oh, maybe. And it was like, maybe you should find somewhere else to order. And I was like, for fuck's sake, man, just so rude, like Stoke, like.
God, bloody
You have
hell.
to wipe your feet on the way out. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, everything about Stoke is awful. Like we said, I mean, awful bloody team, awful playing style, awful manager, just awful everything, isn't it?
The weather as well. Don't forget the weather, man.
Stoke weather's not good either. Bloody hell, Jesus.
And we get hammered every season.
Yeah, because they play that type of football we don't handle. That physical Route 1 football. Bloody hell. Did you see something in the comments, Simpy? Did you say there was something in the comments you was looking at earlier, wasn't there? Or
yeah, I was looking through the comments. Simply, what? Because you're way ahead in the chat than I. What's
well, there's not been that much news to fur. There is Zidane. Zidane came in. I've not seen Zidane for a few days. Yeah, he's saying he's joined the chat.
Big
and then we got Liam adding a cheeky comment saying, "Come on, you Spurs," and he said, "Spurs new stadium is amazing."
Look like a bloody toilet bowl.
Toilet bowl.
Yeah.
Toilet bowl.
Toilet bowl.
If you go away to Tottenham, Dan, you just get your dog to piss on their fans. That's where you can go to toilet.
I have been away at Tottenham when they were at Wembley, and it was a bit surreal getting put into a police van for your own safety, getting out because all the Tottenham fans obviously are dickheads. Not all of them. I might add Liam.
There's to put a disclaimer.
Put in the chat, but
not all of them. Not all of them.
Yeah, just the majority of them. And the police was going, yeah, we have to put you into the van for your own safety, because obviously Arsenal, Tottenham, and it is mad, right? It is proper mad. Like I have seen some pretty horrendous stuff. Like I'm all for. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm all for the rivalry of Arsenal, Tottenham. I'm all for that. I'm all for, you know, the banter and all that. But then when you've got these idiots who take it to that next level, where like I've seen Arsenal fans beaten up just because they're wearing an Arsenal shirt, and you know, I've seen like children getting attacked because they're Arsenal fans, and vice versa. Listen, I ain't gonna label it all at Tottenham's door, because our fans just can be as bad.
Yeah.
You know, like when they're chanting certain things, and you know, I'm all for the banter of a derby. I am all for that. But then when kids are getting hurt and people are getting glassed in the face and stuff, and it sort of takes the element of banter and the element of football.
Goes too
More
far.
like bullying,
out of
yeah.
it.
Goes too far then, doesn't it? Yeah.
It goes proper. It's proper mad. It is not. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
But Daniel, you live in Exeter, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you travelling to games, mate. That is a real. I mean, you really do bloody do some travelling, don't you? Exeter up to London to games.
Yeah, I do. The worst games is when you got a 7:45 in the evening kickoff, or at 8 p.m.
Yeah, because I suppose you don't get home till the middle of the night or something.
So I get the Caledonian sleeper, and I get home about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Bloody hell, that's dedication, mate. That is
I
dedication.
do. I go to them all. I go to them all, and then so I had so I'll go to an evening I'll go to a game in I'll go to about 3 or 4 games in a week. So like there'll be, say, like a Saturday game or a Sunday game in our case, because we're in the Europa League, and you know, that's how things are done at Arsenal these days. So I'll go up. I won't get back until about 10 o'clock in the evening, and then I will go up, say either Thursday, about 8, and because the Europa League has these weird, stupid kickoff times, like 8:15 p.m. So do these guys not realise that it takes about an hour and a half to get out of the fucking stadium when the game's finished? You know what I mean? When you're queuing at when you're queuing to get out of the stadium and to go into the tube, and your train's at 11:15, and you eventually get on the train at 11 p.m. You've got like 45 minutes to get across London. I mean, I have done it before. I have literally, I've literally, right. I'll tell you how bad it is, right. I've literally, especially when it's sort of like a Carabao Cup game and it goes to extra time, I've literally left the ground at 10:30. Got to the station just as my train is pulling out the station. I've literally had to. I had it once, right? I got there and they said, "Where's your train?" I said, "I'm on the 11:45." I said, "Your train is literally just running with a train assistant onto the platform as the train's pulling out." And I'm like, "For fuck's sake!" If I was like 2 minutes earlier, I would have been fine. And then it's a case of, right, ring up all my mates in London. You got a sofa to crash on. I usually get like open tickets on the train just for that eventuality.
Yeah, that's a good idea, I suppose. Yeah.
And then, but yeah,
your area will be the crib.
I spend on Arsenal in a month at least about $2,000 on Arsenal a month in travel, and most of that is in travel. Tickets I can get because obviously I'm a season ticket holder, so my season ticket is I get mine for about I think mine's about 460 quid a year for the season ticket. Yeah, because I get half price discount. So the lower tier is about, I think you guys pay about like 900 quid for a lower tier. So I get it half price at that. And then obviously the away games can range from anywhere from £18 to £26, which is not bad for 2 tickets. Because bearing in mind that I always get a pair of tickets, so I can. I can take someone with me if I want to.
Yeah.
Most of the times I'll just go on my own and meet people up there, but occasionally I'll take a friend. I'll say come to a game. I always get a spare ticket. Always, for every game I get a spare ticket.
Good.
So I'm like,
That's good.
any Arsenal fans want to come to the game? Just meet me in London, and and it works out fine because they get to go to a game, and we just split the cost of the ticket, so it works out about like tenner for the ticket. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna be traveling away somewhere like around the country, do you fly at all from Exeter Airport, or do you still travel up and do the change trains and all that?
So it depends, because there's a group down here in Devon that I've set up in Exeter. I've basically set it up as like an Arsenal group, and we're called like Exeter Gooners. So like I think there's about 4 of us in the group, but there's only like myself and one other lady and her mum who go to literally every single game. So we often, like, because they can see to drive, so occasionally they'll drive up, or on occasions we'll get the train and just stay overnight in a hotel. So yeah, that's where most of my expenses come from, is hotels, staying in hotels. I say to people, I say I'm literally like the fucking players, stay in hotel, because when you've got an away game in Manchester at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday evening, it's pretty hard to get a train back from Manchester down to Exeter. So you have literally got to stay over and then get the train the night before.
Yeah. So it must be a long old trek. It must be an expensive and long trek up to like Manchester and Newcastle and all that. I mean, that must be up to Newcastle. Must be a fair trek from where you are. That's basically the other end of the country, isn't it?
Yeah. So going to Newcastle, I'm quite. So going to Newcastle is quite decent, because I've got friends up there, and plus I can fly direct from Newcastle.
Oh, to Exeter. You can fly Exeter to Newcastle, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good for you, yeah.
Yeah, so I can fly. And it takes about an hour.
Right. That's good, really good.
We have all spent more money than Kroenke did than for Arsenal.
Yeah, Daniel's put more money into Arsenal than Kroenke.
But the away games is brilliant though, because I usually spend the night there, and
I can imagine. I mean,
little break of it, and
I can imagine. You do a bit of sightseeing, you make a little trip out of it, and then you got the game, and then you got all the like you say, it is the best support that travels away, all the real hardcore fans.
My wife loves the away games as well, because she likes to have the little breakaway, and just
nice.
go out, and she's not necessarily into the football side of things, but she'll come, and we'll go out for dinner in the evening and stuff, and
nice.
we'll go sight, and then in Liverpool and certain places like Newcastle and that, we'll just go out have a night out. So it's pretty decent, I certainly try and get my money's worth. If I'm going to an away game, I don't just go to sometimes I'll go up and go to the game and come back, like say Bournemouth and Southampton, they're close to Exeter. You can pretty much get there by, in a day. But the longer ones, I certainly like to make make the most of it and get your money's worth, especially if you go up all that way and Arsenal have lost, and we've had our fair share of that over the recent seasons. So sometimes it becomes more about going out on the piss than it does the game.
Daniel, you've got a comment from Chadwick. Chadwick's in the chat. He's asking you, what your favourite city and grounds to go to for an away game is.
Afternoon, evening, morning to you, Chadwick, whatever time is it over there in the States.
Evening, Chadwick.
So my favourite, Do you know what I'm gonna have to say? And I'm gonna have to say my favorite away day in terms of like a night out is probably Newcastle. Love that cheap alcohol, cheap beer, and I do like their stadium. Apart from they put you right up in the fucking gods. But in terms of stadium wise and atmosphere, it's got to be Anfield. It's got to be
Oh,
Anfield.
yeah.
You
The way
can't
they,
beat.
that singing that, you'll never walk alone just before the game and at the end of every game is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
You got to give it to them.
What I like about up in Liverpool, they always have a laugh with you, the Scousers. They don't. They're not violent with it. Obviously you get your minorities. There's always in every club there's a minority, but they'll banter you and they'll welcome you in. Like Liverpool is the only place that you can go to, and you can walk into a home fan pub and be welcomed as an away supporter.
Wow. Okay.
Like literally, like they've got pubs where they mix fans. Even on Liverpool Everton derby day, they'll mix fans.
Right.
But
good on them.
Like you couldn't imagine. No, you wouldn't be able to do that with Arsenal Tottenham. You'll walk into a Tottenham.
Break the bottles. Break the bottles.
No, I said good on them. Good on them for being able to do that. It's to be able to have that respect for each other.
I don't know. It'd be a bloodbath if you put Celtic and Rangers fans together. Do you know what I mean?
Oh bloody hell! Yeah. Bloody hell. Chelsea, Millwall.
Yeah, Chelsea, Millwall.
Us and Tottenham's not good either.
Brighton, Crystal Palace. Although I don't understand that derby because it's not really a blooming derby, is it? Do you know what I mean? Like Brighton and Crystal Palace are nowhere near each other. Like,
yeah, it's a bit crazy that one. Yeah, no, none of the other derbies really have that intensity, do they? I mean, the Liverpool derby, okay, yeah. Manchester derby, okay. You got a few other cities derbies, but it's the North London derby that has all that intensity, isn't it? I mean, we just go crazy, don't we, against each other?
Yeah. Coming to that, yeah. What's the biggest derby you have ever been? You guys in the world.
I've never traveled. I've never been to a derby game. I've been to quite a few Arsenal games when I've been travelling over there and stuff, but never been to a derby game. No, I've been to a couple of Man United games. That was fun. But yeah,
you never been to Arsenal Tottenham?
Nah, because never. It's just the timing's never been right for it. But and also my brother's. I think we was nearly going to a home game once. We weren't able to go, but. No, they don't go away to Tottenham because they've had a couple of really bad experiences. I mean, I've got two half brothers in London. They've gone to quite a few games. They used to have season tickets, both of them, but they sold them a few years ago. But yeah, they don't normally go Tottenham away because they've had a few bad experiences, with violence and stuff. So yeah.
Chadwick, you're an absolute fucking joker. No, and it's definitely not QPR.
Loftus Road. Loftus Road's another. That's another shit old stadium, isn't it? Loftus Road.
Yeah. Bloody hell.
Yeah, shitty old stadium.
Yeah, so not QPR.
QPR. Queensborough. They used to be good in the beginning of the 90s. They had a good team then. Remember, they had Trevor Sinclair, who was good, bombing down the wing. They had a few of those other players. I can't remember them now. They had a few decent players. You'd have Les Ferdinand, wasn't he, at QPR before he...
Les Ferdinand, yeah.
He was a QPR, made his name before he went on to Newcastle and Tottenham and that, wasn't it?
What's that, sorry?
I was saying, remember QPR had a decent team in the mid-90s, the beginning of the mid-90s. QPR were decent back then, and I remember they had a few good players like that. Trevor Sinclair was a good player, that winger they had. He was bombing up and down the wings, a real flair player. And then they had, up front, they had Les Ferdinand. He was really good. That's where he developed, wasn't it, at QPR, and then he got sold. I can't remember if he went to Tottenham or...
He went Tottenham, Newcastle. I guess. Tottenham.
Yeah, because he went to... Was it Newcastle he went to after that? But yeah, he was...
Yeah, Newcastle first.
Was it Newcastle first and then Tottenham? Yeah, because he was at QPR. He became really good and Scored a lot of goals. Yeah, they had a good team then. QPR,
Guys.
Impey. Remember Andy Impey was another good midfielder.
Impey.
Yeah, one thing. Simply's brother,
Nearly
I guess.
Simpy. Nearly Simpy. It's Impey.
Simpy's brother. Yeah.
Call him Gimpy.
Guys, an interesting one here, yeah? An interesting one here. If you guys were to bring back one team from the championship or one team from any other, probably they're not in the Premier League right now, which team would you guys bring back?
Bring back now.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I kind of miss Leeds. I know they're doing well now, and they probably would come up, but I kind of miss Leeds because they've always been a good team, haven't they? You know, until the last, what happened with the beginning of the 2000s. But Leeds has always been a good rivalry. Trying to think of other clubs.
Yeah.
I miss Wimbledon, to be honest. I know, Wimbledon, they've changed clubs and all that now. They're at Milton Keynes and everything, but Wimbledon were a crazy team. And I went to a Wimbledon game when I was young, and I saw Vinnie Jones, and he was an absolute head case. He was crazy, that guy.
I think Nottingham Forest. Nottingham is it's worth a shout, I guess, also because they were one of the prominent forces as well. But
Nottingham Forest were a great team, weren't they, back in the 80s, 70s, 80s? I mean, Brian Clough and all that, of course. Yeah, that's some good players. Sheringham, he became a big player.
Man, yeah.
He became a big player at Nottingham Forest. Yeah, I mean, they were a good team back then. Yeah, you had Roy Keane, wasn't it? Roy Keane came through Nottingham Forest before he got sold to Man United. So yeah, that's a good old team. A lot of tradition. They won the European Cup. What was it? At least twice.
Okay, at least they are back in the championship. At least if they were to come up to the Premier League, and then it's an embarrassment because we have never won anything of European Championship. So
we've been so close, haven't we? So many times we've been in a few finals. We won the.
Yeah, how about the defeat against Parma as well?
We beat Parma.
The win against Parma and the defeat against Galatasaray.
Yeah, that one in 2000, that hurt. That really hurt, that one in 2000. But, of course, nothing hurt more than the Champions League final in 2006.
We deserve to win,
That was our destiny because we had built up that team. We were the Invincibles. Then we went into the Champions League and, we were better than Barcelona. You could see it. But the way we played, and even on paper, you saw the players 11 versus 11. We were the better team, and we even when we went down to 10 men with Lemon being sent off, we even led first half 1-0 at half time with 10 men. With Sol Campbell's header. I mean, I couldn't believe it. We were actually doing so much better than Barcelona. Imagine if we would have had 11 men, we would have won that. We would have won the Champions League, and imagine how that might have changed everything for us if we'd have won that Champions League. Players might not have left.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think, isn't it, what that could have done, that knock-on effect, the domino effect, as you said, from that. I mean, that was such a crazy game.
I was watching the Almunia attempted saves for the 2 goals. Like, what are you doing?
That second one is the worst. We just basically lets it right between his legs.
How can it go through his feet and go? Oh my sweet Lord, Jesus, man.
And if that's not enough, Wenger selected him as our first choice goalkeeper for like 4 or 5 years after. How can you do that? That to me was like, Wenger, what are you thinking of? What are you doing?
Daniel, you're on mute.
Daniel, you're on mute, buddy. How do we address this to Daniel?
I don't know if he's watching the chat or anything. I mean, is he?
I think Chadwick's put it in the chat as well. Yeah, Daniel, you're on mute.
Simply try to give send him a Twitter message, perhaps.
I think Daniel?
He might be on mute on purpose. He might be talking to his wife or something.
Thank you.
Don't give it a moment.
Oh, he's put his headphones in, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Still on mute,
He's
Daniel.
still on mute. Yeah, that was pretty much an embarrassment, right, Sam? With this European thing,
I was so gutted. I mean, I watched the game, and I'll never forget. I was so nervous. I've never been so nervous to watch an Arsenal game. Probably since I was a young kid watching. When we played against Sheffield Wednesday in those two cup finals, the League Cup and the FA Cup final in '93. I hadn't been nervous since then, and I was so nervous. Like, Barcelona, Barcelona, the mighty Barcelona. And we're finally in the Champions League final. Just couldn't wait for. I couldn't sleep nearly the night before. That's how excited I was for the game. And then, then I go out with a few friends, and we're at the pub and we're ready. The big screen's up. All the atmosphere is crazy.
He's back.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Daniel,
I can,
finally, we got you, buddy.
Did you guys hear my computer talking when I was on mute?
No, we didn't hear anything.
Did anyone in the stream hear my computer talking? Put it in the chat because I just tried what happened was my headphones blooming crashed, so I had to go and change to my AirPods. But somebody put it in the chat if they could hear my speech on my computer while I was there.
I don't think so because your sound was muted.
Yeah, Daniel.
Was it just the sound? Was the picture muted as well, or was it?
No, the camera was there. It was just the sound.
Just the sound.
Only, yeah.
Fair play. So that okay, fair enough. It is what it is.
Yes.
It's a live show. It's
yeah. What was I talking? What was we talking about?
I was just talking about Kevin first said talking about some teams from the Championship, or teams that are no longer in the Premier League that we'd like to see back in the Premier League, and we were mentioning the likes of Leeds and Nottingham Forest, those teams. And then we was talking about the European, the Nottingham Forest, even though they're nowhere near the Premier League anymore, they've actually got European Cups to their name, with the Clough years and that, and then we went on then we went on to Arsenal's tragedies in Europe, basically only winning the Cup Winners' Cup and the Fairs Cup, and we've been in a few finals and lost most famously in that Champions League final. And I was just telling the guys the story of my Champions League final watching experience then, and how gutted I was when I was all the excitement and we could hardly sleep the night before, finally in the Champions League final, playing Barcelona. I was so excited, out with a few mates, down to the local pub to the big screen, all the people were screaming, and everyone's all geared, ready to go, and then it was 18 minutes in, Lehman gets sent off. Oh, that's it, we're fucked. That was it,
Yeah, what we got going in the chat, Simpy? What's people saying in the chat?
I think the last one before it was from Chadwick was asking what's the lamest team name, and he said he thinks it's the Bournemouth Cherries.
Oh, the nicknames.
Yeah.
Toffees, Everton, the Toffees is not too bad, is it?
Potters.
West Ham, the Irons, isn't it? The Irons. Yeah.
I thought they were the Hammers, the West Ham.
They're also called the Irons. They're also called the Irons. Yeah.
They have two, actually, Hammers and Irons.
I don't know.
I think of some other crazy ones. There's got to be some crazy ones. Let's have a look on Google. Let's say Google's our friend here. Crazy English.
Man City's? Is it the Blue Sharks or something? Shark team. I don't know if that's just
name.
No, they're supposed to be named after Sheikh something. Manchester City, Sheikh.
Shake it.
That's really weird. That's really weird how my headphones cut out and it put me automatically on mute because I didn't put myself on mute. That's
okay. Here we got Leighton Orient are called the Chinese Orientals.
Jeez, okay.
I ain't gonna say anything about that.
Right,
simply you're writing, mate.
Listen to this, guys. This is 15 weird and funny nicknames from around the world of football. So, Club Atletico Zacatecas, I don't know whether they're probably in bloody Mexico or something. They're called the Sugar Crane Growers. They got Cadiz FC. They're called Submarino Amarillo. Leighton Orient are Chinese Orientals. Clyde, I suppose they're up in Scotland. They're called the Bully Wee. And Eintracht Frankfurt, who we saw yesterday, they're called the Moody Diva.
Moody Diva. What the
Yeah,
hell?
the Moody Diva. And you've got FC Metz in France. They're called the Growly Dragons.
Yeah.
And then we've got in a team from Transylvania called Gloria Bistrita. They're called the Blue Vampires.
What the fuck?
Oh, here's a good one. Chievo in Italy. They're called the Flying Donkeys.
There you go, guys. This is a great debating football club names.
And then we've got Alemannia Aachen. They're in German football. They're called the Potato Beatles.
What is he named after aluminium?
The Potato Beatles. They're called Alemannia Aachen. The team, and then we've got in Malaga in Spain. They're called the Anchovies. Here's another good one from England. Reading. They're called the Biscuit Men.
Man.
The Biscuit Men, and then Hartlepool FC, another English team. They're called the Paul's Monkey Hangers.
That is mad.
Then we've got Albacete in Spain. They're called the Clockwork Cheese.
Do keep smashing the likes, everybody.
Yeah, likes everyone.
Smashing
And then,
subscribe
and then in let's see, they're in Spain second tier. They're called the Royce Deportivo, and they're called the Clockwork Hazelnut. And then there's number one name they got here, the Legan FC. I suppose they're in, where are they? Legan. They're in.
Isn't that Spain?
They're in Spain. Legan. Their name is the Cucumber Pickers.
So some weird names there. Some very weird names. But yeah, listen. Have we got any more chats, Simpy? Have we got any more chats?
Yeah. Go on, Simpy.
Doesn't look like it, really, does it?
It's like a mixture of stuff with like the Champions League.
Yeah. Currently 10 people watching, so it's brilliant.
That's good.
Everyone click like.
Yeah, come on, everyone, fire up them likes.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys. Have you guys heard about a few years ago? I mean, a few months ago. I'm not really sure. Whereby they said about Flamini was having a booming business, a multi-billion pound business or something like that. I'm not really sure about it, but I saw an interesting comment the other day. One of the fans were just coming up, and I don't know whether they were practically taking a joke out of it or what. But he was asking, like, if Flamini really loved Arsenal, why don't he just invest those money, get Kroenke out of the club and just buy off the stocks that he has? So I'm not really sure what is Flamini doing, what type of business is he up to, but it seems it's a multi-billion pound business. So it seems he's much more richer.
He became a lot richer after football. Yeah, he's apparently he's like a director or something. I'm not sure if he started the company, but at least he's like a director in the company. It's a big pharmaceuticals company, and they're doing a lot of pharmaceuticals that are obviously, very well known around the world and everything. So they're making a lot of money, and so I'm not sure. I know he's a billionaire now, but I'm not sure exactly how much over the billion he is, because you need a few billion, don't you, to own a football club, really? So I mean, a top football club. So I'm not sure how high up that list he is, but he's definitely a billionaire now. That's true. So he's done a lot better than at Arsenal. That's for sure.
14 billion. It says
he's made 14 billion.
Yeah.
Really? Wow. He's up to 40. That is amazing. So he's got more than Kroenke. So okay. Flamini could buy Arsenal if he wanted. Yeah, that is pretty amazing. That is amazing. Probably
have more ambition, I would say. That's another thing.
The thing is, imagine if Flamini did that. I mean, I think that'd be pretty cool. I mean, Flamini, ex-Arsenal player, he knows, he knows he would probably want to do things the right way, I would expect, but I don't know.
There was another thing, Sam and Simpy and Daniel. I got a thing for you guys. There was another debate that I recently noticed in Instagram. I saw this, and they came in and asked, like, you remember Patrick Vieira, right? When he was called as a director of football at Manchester City, many people seem to ask the question, like, why wasn't he called at Arsenal? Why wasn't he recalled? He's an Arsenal legend. Come on, let's be honest here. He's one of the greatest defensive midfielders. So he had the first option to join in Arsenal. But why did he decline Arsenal? We are not really sure what happened behind the scenes, whether Arsenal did call him or whether he declined the offer or he just opted to move to Manchester City. So we are not pretty much sure. But what if Manchester City never had Patrick Vieira, and if Patrick Vieira was a director of football at Arsenal, would have things been different, very much more different in the current state that we are in?
I don't know, really. I don't know if Patrick Vieira really had that much of an impact on City, did he? Or
I'm not really sure, but I don't really think he did. But
I'm
City,
not sure. I'm not sure of that. I don't.
I'm not too sure. I'm just trying to. I can't even remember the year that he took up that job role.
Yeah.
Was Wenger still here? Because if Wenger was still at Arsenal, then there's no way Patrick Vieira was going to be getting any position influence.
That was one of the highlighted comments that people mentioned, because when Wenger was around, I reckon most ex-Arsenal players didn't literally have any say. If they didn't literally have any say, because you had like Thierry Henry coming in and saying that he wants to take over and he wants to judge on the youth players. Lundberg, Perez, a lot of ex-players coming in, including Lauren, but all of them were declined by Wenger. So we didn't really know what happened, So as soon as Wenger went off, we started to see Per Mertesacker coming in, taking in the youth role, and Freddie Lundberg also doing the same thing. And we also now notice that Mikel Arteta is in a managerial position, and Santi Cazorla has been also involved, and is getting invited to move on to the assistant managerial position in Arsenal as well. So what do you guys take on Santi Cazorla's links as well? I think we have debated about this, but what are you guys' thoughts about this? Maybe if this thing do happen.
Cazorla for me is exciting.
Yeah.
Cazorla's exciting. Yeah.
Is it just like an assistant coach, or is it?
Like an assistant manager role or something like that, assistant coach. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I'll take him.
I heard some people saying that it was going to be
I would
like a
take
player coach
him.
role.
I don't think he's going to play, is he? He can't be playing, but as a coach,
he'd probably play better than any of our midfielders, current midfielders. That's for sure.
This season is doing so well.
He was the only player, I would say. Yeah. He was the only player that we were making. He was like a linchpin for our midfield, because he was literally able to dribble. He was able to kick in both of his feet. He's a left and a right footer. That's the only thing. But if you were to see, if there was one statistic that I saw, they started to make comparison between Granit Xhaka and Santi Cazorla, and Santi Cazorla, I was like laughing my ass off, because I couldn't imagine you put Santi Cazorla, because there was so many comparison made, and there was one point whereby they made like Silva and Santi Cazorla. But if you were to say Silva and Santi Cazorla, I would say like it's a very tough battle, because you see David Silva of what his accomplishment in Valencia, and when he moved on to Manchester City as well. And when you look at Santi Cazorla from Malaga as well, when he came up to Arsenal, they are both very, very good players. But the thing with Cazorla is the injury really hindered his career at Arsenal. So that was the thing. He had a history of the Achilles problem, and that really disturbed his season. But David Silva as well, he has a history of hamstring, if I'm not mistaken. He has a hamstring record, but his standout record for the last 10 years has been phenomenal, I would say. And you remember he made a statement that he said, after this, I'm going to complete 10 years in Manchester City, and I'm going to take a break from football or something. I don't know whether he plans to retire or maybe go back to his boyhood club or something, but I'm not really sure about that. But that's the dedication I love from David Silva. So in between David Silva and Santi Cazorla, who would you guys go?
Cazorla.
Yeah,
I'd go for Cazorla as well.
Cazorla all day long.
Yeah,
I would go
I'd go-
Cazorla. Yeah.
Cazorla, yeah, I think so.
Like Cazorla, but yeah, everything David Silva's done at Man City has been like him and company, and like Fernandinho are the pretty much like the pins for the Man City team to the current state that they're at.
And the players they are surrounded with, if you were to imagine like what players that Manchester City had them surrounded with, that makes David Silva as a standout performer. But if you were to see it at Arsenal,
you know what it is though. I like David Silva, but I'm not entirely sure. I just think Cazorla, he's an Arsenal favourite, isn't he, Cazorla? And he was a good player. He had so much potential, Cazorla, but the problem is, like you say, with the injury, and you know, he's sort of a little bit like Diaby. Abu Diaby had so much potential, and his injury just blighted his career so much. Because Diaby was the closest thing we ever had to Patrick Vieira replacement, and he had talent, bags of talent, but he's just constantly injured.
Yeah, that's been our bane, hasn't it? The injuries. We've had so many injuries on key players, haven't we? And repeated injuries as well. I mean, it's like every time we buy a promising player, you just know, oh, he's going to get injured. He's going to be out for 6 months.
Yeah,
We've had that so many times, haven't we? We had it with all our players. Wilshere, the poor kid, he was always injured. Walcott, we had a few injuries on. We've had it now with Holding and Chambers.
there's some players, Sam. Yeah.
What's his name?
Eduardo, is it?
Eduardo, yeah. I mean, he was doing really well, and then he got his leg broken. How many times has that happened to us? It seems to happen to every promising player we get.
Yeah, you remember Fabregas? Yeah.
Fabregas got injured.
Yeah.
Fabregas was
Samir
constantly getting injured. Getting injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing, mate. But if you were to look into the bigger picture of it, if like many fans just come in and tell that Arsenal's players keep on getting injured, you remember that time like when from the start of the season up until January, we'll be like rolling on, we'll be steamrolling all the teams, and when it comes to the February to the March period, we just spiral downwards. You know, we just will be like falling downwards, and it's when we have this massive spike of injuries as well. So that comes into question is how can Aubameyang has been here for 2 years, Aubameyang has been staying fit. I think he rarely got injured. I think in his 2 seasons down here, it's going to be about 2 seasons. He has only had one injury, and I guess, and I think he just shaked it off. And I think the most massive part of his career that he missed games at Arsenal was his suspension against Crystal Palace, the 3-match suspension. That's about it. But if that guy can stay fit throughout the season, what is it wrong at the Arsenal medical team or something? Why is players getting injured?
Well, that's what a lot of people were saying, weren't they? They were saying that Arsenal's training methods weren't good enough anymore. They weren't up to date. They weren't state of the art. You know, we weren't preventing. A lot of the other teams were working a lot on a lot of their like after match and also like during the week training was working on preventative. Exercises to make sure they're preventing injuries. You know, they're not trying to exercise that much, put so much strain on the muscles. There was a lot of preventative stuff, and that's what Arsenal weren't doing. Apparently, we weren't, and that's a lot of the criticism we were getting. We were still training too much with the guys, the players, and not doing preventative exercising. And and we brought in that fitness expert, Darren Burgess, or whatever his name was. We brought him in to help.
Yeah,
and
the guy from New Zealand, wasn't he, or the guy from Australia or something?
I think he's Australian. He was a fitness expert who had done a lot of good things with footballers and everything, was well renowned. And we brought him in to work with helping with injuries, and he left after a few seasons because he wasn't happy with the way the training was being done and everything. Apparently they weren't following his regimes and everything. So yeah, I think a lot of it's our own fault really with the injuries.
Daniel, Sam, you guys both are hindering in the darkness. What's going on with you guys?
Can't you see me? Oh, you can see me. I can.
I hardly can see Daniel.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? Because my wife's pulled the curtain, so yeah, that's probably why you can't see me. But listen, guys. We've been going for almost 2 hours, so I think we'll take some questions.
Yeah.
We'll take, if there's anything in the chat, we'll answer them quickly, and then we'll wrap up. Because listen, we've had a great debate show tonight. So currently 8 people watching live. So do smash the likes, everybody. Keep smashing
Come on,
the
guys.
likes.
Smash the likes.
Yeah,
I don't know how many.
if you're not subscribed.
I don't know how many I'm at now on likes on this video, but come on, smash the likes and let's get it moving. Keep it moving.
Simply an update on the likes and the viewing here.
Yeah, just try and open up. Come on.
It's
There
mad.
we go. Come on, open up. We were on. Yeah, 21 likes.
21
Wow.
likes. Come on, everyone. Fire them
not
likes
bad.
up.
That's
Fire
good,
them
man.
likes
That's
That's
good.
good.
Fire them likes up. 21 likes. Let's keep it moving.
I think the
and
longer we do, the more likes you get.
what we got in the chat. What we got in the chat.
So we got some points. I think Omar, Miss Molina were saying they'd take Santi Cazorla back. And then Chadwick had a question for everyone. It was, what are your guys' take on what Arsenal have to do to get back in the Champions League? He's sick of 3 years in the shit Europa League. He can't stand that shit anymore, and we need to get back in desperately. So
I'm sick of being in the Europa League. If I'm being honest, it's depressing.
You see it. There he is. It's Danny Boy in all his glory. Back again.
Well,
Back
not
again.
Not in all my glory, because I've got clothes on. So
disappointing the viewers.
That's for another show.
That's another one. That's that. Yeah. That's that. We'll do that. We'll do that one later. I think. Yeah, that'd be good.
You got the wrong channel. This is YouTube, not RedTube.
Yeah, I mean, for the Champions League, we just got to improve our squad, haven't we? We need a few better players, really, don't we? A few better players in a few key positions, and hopefully we'll get back into the Champions League, isn't it? That's what it is.
I think 3 player signings, that's what's required. We just need a centre forward, another one, if Aubameyang or Lacazette, either one of them leaves, we just need a midfielder, we need a centre back. That's it. Because if you were to prioritize and put in 2 centre backs and buy in 1 midfielder, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, because if you're talking about challenging, we have to make a whole sum of changes. But if you're going to make about a challenge for a top 4, might as well take 1 forward, 1 midfield, 1 defender. Because as you can see, that 1 commanding centre back can light up an entire team. We have seen that with Liverpool. So we need just like this commanding figure and in midfield, in defense, and all this, because some of these players just need a kick in the ass. And I would say if much more of a commanding figure that, like, imagine and see a prime Vieira who gets in and then he kicks a shit out of Torreira and Xhaka, means they're going to improve tenfold, So so that's the way I see it, So 3 signings, that's the way to see.
Yeah.
So that's
How about you, Daniel?
Definitely. I don't know. I'm still a little bit optimistic that we can get something out of this season, but then that's just me. I still think. I don't think, like you guys are saying about the signings. I don't think that's ever going to change until we get in the Champions League. I still think we're going to get these shitty signings until something happens to get us back in the Champions League, like whether it's luck or fluke or whatever. I can't see it changing. And I really do think that actually
Yeah,
financially, no, but I do think financially we're gonna, like, Arsenal are gonna struggle with this pandemic. But I do think I think it's going to upset the rhythm for a lot of teams when we do go back to play football. But Arsenal, it's going to benefit because you think Arteta's a new guy. He's just come in. And before this lockdown and everything came to a grinding halt, he was struggling to get his message across because there was too many games and there was too many, you know, he didn't really have the time. But now you think in lockdown, he's had the time to talk to these players, really get into their heads. And, you know, he's been working with certain players on certain things, even though they've not been able to train. And these 4-week training, I think Arteta's going to be secretly thinking that it's a blessing because he said, oh, I've not had a proper pre-season. Now he's getting 4 weeks to do that. Whereas if the season hadn't been cancelled, he wouldn't get that. He would just have to keep going as and when in a weekly training session. So I actually think for other clubs, it's going to upset the rhythm. But for us, I think it's not going to be a bad thing. And I do think we might surprise a lot of people when we come back. That's just me being optimistic. But I do think, I don't know, I do think that something's going to change.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, I hope so, because the way we've been playing before this pandemic wasn't very good. Even though it's slightly better than Emery, but it's still nowhere near where we should be. So, you know, it's gonna be hard, I think. But yeah, I mean, weirder things have happened. All of a sudden, we could start really playing well. Some players could really step up if we're lucky and we're hopeful. Yeah, I mean, I'd love for that to happen. I'd love us to really maybe get a good push, get some good results going, and then maybe just squeeze into the top 4 if we're very lucky. But I think the top 4 is going to be unrealistic for us now until, you know, to the end of this season. I think we'll probably get another Europa League spot and have to go to some god awful pub team in Kazakhstan or something like that. And those travels to the Far East, they don't look fun. I don't.
And don't forget the awful tune, man. The awful startup tune of the Europa League. You know, will really mess up with my head, man.
Oh god. Anyway, but hopefully next season with if we do some decent business now in what will be a transfer window, yeah, hopefully we can put some more poor performances together and then improve next season and then get into the top 4. That's got to be the goal. The goal next season's got to be the top 4, get into the Champions League.
What about you, Simpy?
Yeah, Simpy, what do you think? Do you think it? Do you think what do you think will happen? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm still. I've seen Chadwick's mentioned about we're only 5 points out of top 4 with a game in hand, and we've not lost.
See, that's
in 2020.
That's what I mean.
But
that's
then
what I mean. We're 5 points off. You know, 2 wins, and it only takes 2 results for the rest of them to drop. And listen, they've got like 9-10 games. So and you think, I don't know. I just think, oh my god, I don't know. I really do think we could take advantage of the situation here.
True, but there's one thing, Daniel. Yesterday on Sam's channel, we looked at our fixtures list, and even though it's behind closed doors, we looked at that list, and there was no game, maybe 1 or 2 games where we could say, okay, that's a win for Arsenal. The rest of the games, we've got some very, very tough opponents coming up, just in the league, that is.
Well, let's look it into context, right? And I don't want to spend too long on this because, like, we have been going for 2 hours, so we'll wrap up shortly. But let's say Man City away, I think we could get a result there.
Really?
I really do. Yeah. I listen, Man City were awful when they started, and if we'd have played them when we were supposed to, I would have
beaten them. Yeah,
I would have said no. We would have got beaten, because if you remember, they had just lost to Man United, and Man City never lose 2 games on the trot. The next team they play, they always spank, and it would have been us. Do you know what I mean? We would have come out there with our pants pulled fully down. But, you know, and then you've got Liverpool. By then, they would have won the league, I reckon. You know, by the time we play them, they will have the league sewn up. I mean, they've got it sewn up anyway, but officially. So we'll have more to play for. And it's well known that teams who have won the league drop off massively once it's been confirmed. I think Wolves, I do think we could get a result there simply because it's behind closed doors. And it's not going to be like an away game for Arsenal. Yeah, we're going to be playing at their pitch and that, but you think there's going to be no away support, and that's what Arsenal struggled with. That's what Arsenal has struggled with, having no, you know, with those home fans of those away grounds. That's what we've struggled with. So, but there's going to be none of that. And I do generally think Arteta's changed the mentality of these players. I do generally believe that he is slowly but surely changing everything about this club right from the top. He's starting with the players on the pitch that he's got to work with. And I said it before, it might have been yesterday I said it, that Arteta would not have, you know, I don't think he would have taken the job if he didn't have assurances about certain things with
we discussed this,
transfers and stuff. Yeah, so I don't think he would have taken the job, and I don't think he would have, you know, he's doing the best at the moment with what he's got to work with. And I do think that, you know, like you can look at the situation and, you know, like when he's playing Mesut Ozil constantly and not when he's dropping Lacazette. We have to remember he's a new coach, so he's going to make mistakes. And also, like you said, we haven't got the depth of squad to be making brave decisions like, right, Lacazette, you're not going to play for weeks because you're not scoring a goal, or Ozil, we're going to drop you because you're not performing. We haven't got nobody to replace him. So we can't make those brave decisions. I do believe when Arteta gets players in and he gets more players that he likes, I think he can be a bit more ruthless. But at the moment, he can't be as ruthless as he probably would like to be because we don't have the players. We don't have the quality to do that. And I think that's what he's got to change at the moment. But I do think something's going to happen this season. I've just got a feeling that we are going to sneak in there.
Yeah. He's got his hands tied up, that's all.
Yeah, he's got his hands tied.
Yep. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. It's up to Arteta to steer the ship in the right direction and see if he does it. It's in his hands. Let's see what he does.
Okay, let's do one last question. Simpy, what you got?
It's not really a question. But yeah, Omar was saying he can't see us getting top 4 with that squad. Chadwick said he didn't think last season we could bottle the top 4, seeing as we had two decent chances at getting the Champions League spot, but they did. Maybe this year, the last 10 games, they'll turn up. And then Grant was saying, Arsenal should not be putting the best striker on the wing just to accommodate Lacazette.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the last comment in the chat.
Yeah.
I think we'll finish off with that first.
Yeah, we'll finish off with that because we've been going for 2 hours. So listen, thank you to everybody who's tuned in and watching this live. Do keep firing them likes up. That'd be great. And if you are new, keep subscribing. Listen, it's been an absolute fantastic debate. We've covered a number of topics from news to football to various things about Arsenal. We've covered stadiums. So yeah, we've had a really good debate, and I want to thank everybody on the panel this evening for joining me. Simpy, Kevin, and Sam. Listen, it's been a great discussion. Been a fantastic, you guys have been great, a great panel of guests. So thank you guys for for joining, and
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me.
everybody who's watching this, you will see a lot more of these guys on the channel. You see a lot more of these guys, and in future content. Because listen, we seem to got a good group going here, so stay tuned for more content. I am going to have a day off tomorrow because listen, I've been pretty relentless. Do you know what? I was only meant to do an hour show tonight, and it's massively overrun. But that's the beauty of debate shows. So listen, there's going to be no content tomorrow, but Tuesday I'm going to be back, and I'm going to be joined by I think is it Kevin? You guys, Kevin and Simpy. For the Dortmund Bayern watch along.
Tuesday, we've got to do that one. We've got to have a watch along for that.
So and Sam, if you're about, join in for the watch along as well.
That'd be great. Cheers.
So stay tuned for that. And then I know I keep saying it on every stream. I am going to work out a quiz to do on my channel, a football quiz. Just to take, I'll keep this going, take us up to obviously when the Premier League restarts. Obviously, it will be all systems go with Arsenal watch-alongs and Arsenal previews and reviews and that. But also, guys, put in the chat what content you'd like to see. Listen, we've got a bit of a break, obviously now until the football does return. Obviously, we've got the Bundesliga and then La Liga coming up. But let us know what content you'd like to see, and listen, I'll definitely make it happen on this channel. So there we go. I think we'll bring it to an end now. Once again, thanks guys for tuning in. Stay tuned for all the content coming up this week, and we're gonna say goodbye. So it's goodbye from me and everyone else.
Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me in the chat.